Our guest this morning is none other than Dr. Don Colbert. He's a New York Times best-selling author who has written over 40 books that together have sold millions of copies. Dr. Colbert is a frequent guest on programs like John Hagee, Joyce Meyer, Kenneth Copeland, just to name a few. Well, he joins us this morning all the way from sunny, warm Daytona Beach to talk about his new book, The Hormone Zone: Lose Weight, Restore Energy, Feel 25 Again. Dr. Colbert, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. It's great being here. Thank you.
It's great to have you, and this is a subject that so many people don't understand. And right off the top, you talk about hormone confusion. Well, before we talk about hormone confusion, let's talk about what hormones are and what we need to understand about our hormones.
Well, hormones are simply chemical messengers, and there's many different hormones in the body, but the ones that affect so many women and men are those sex hormones, as well as the thyroid hormone and the adrenal hormones. Those are critical hormones, but especially around age 40, most women start first, they develop one hormone domino that falls, and most women miss it. Most all doctors miss it, because the first hormone to decrease is testosterone in women. And it decreases to a subpar level around age 40. And when testosterone decreases, energy goes, vitality goes, libido goes, sex drive goes. And women start to get brain fog. They start to get irritable, grumpy. And many get depressed, and they turn to their doctors, and their doctor's quick to prescribe an antidepressant, Celexa or Zoloft or Lexapro or Cymbalta. But testosterone is one of the best natural hormonal antidepressants because it boosts dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. But other hormones start to fall about 5 years later. Around age 45, women's progesterone starts to go subpar. And when that happens, women get even grumpier, more irritable. And that's why for many years I've been prescribing bioidentical micronized progesterone as the cure for most women with PMS. It's amazing what it does. But also women at around age 45, they can't sleep good. They can't go to sleep or stay asleep because progesterone's subpar, as well as their hair starts to fall out.
Right.
And then they really get upset because progesterone helps, when it's optimized, helps to grow the most beautiful heads of hair, and it prevents breast cancer, whereas the synthetic progestin, such as Provera, actually can cause breast cancer. So that's why we have to be wise in our choices, and unfortunately, a lot of doctors don't know the difference. Now, the third hormone domino to fall occurs around age 50 in most women, and that's estrogen, but especially estradiol. Estradiol is the form of estrogen that gives the woman the body that she loves, the nice, beautiful curves, the breasts, the buttocks, the soft, supple skin. But when 50 hits, estradiol goes out the window. It starts to go subpar, suboptimal, way suboptimal. So women develop hot flashes, night sweats, irritability, vaginal dryness, all these horrible symptoms where they're sleeping at night and all of a sudden they wake up with a hot flash. And they throw the covers off and then they try and turn the AC way down to 60 and freeze their husband out. So again, when the hormone, the estrogen that increases at that time is what I call the old lady estrogen, called estrone. This is the estrogen that causes the menopot or the pot belly, the saggy breast, the saggy bottom. The women lose their beautiful natural hourglass curves and start to develop the old lady estrogen curves with all the bulges, the unseemly bulges, the back fat, the belly, all the bulges that women don't want. They lose their nice curves because of this estrone. So again, what I've been doing for many years is optimizing these key hormones. And of course, women first need to get their mammogram and make sure there's no breast cancer or if they have a family history of breast cancer, we're real cautious with estradiol because 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer. But in the study that confused so many doctors years ago was the Women's Health Initiative of 2002. It's a huge study. And to summarize it real quick, the results of the study showed that women on Premarin, which is from pregnant mares or horses' urine, It's a horse's estrogen, and Provera, which is a synthetic progestin, had an increased risk of breast cancer, heart attacks, and strokes. And so what happens, most doctors immediately quit, prescribing hormones, took the women off hormones and threw them into what I call hormonal limbo. And they started
getting... Because there was nothing after Premarin was gone. There was really nothing left for women. Because I know in my mother's generation that she was on Premarin for a lot of years. And when those studies came out, there was nothing. I mean, every woman got off of Premarin.
You're right. Now, what was happening years before, because I've been prescribing these for 35 years, we've had bioidenticals for decades, even before that, in the form of creams or sublinguals. So it's interesting. There's two key groups in that Women's Health Initiative. There was the Premarin Provera group for women who have their uterus, and then there was the Premarin only group for women who had a hysterectomy. So it's interesting, when they reanalyzed the data, the women on just the Premarin, or the pregnant mare's urine estrogen, had 23 to 33% decreased risk of breast cancer than the women, just regular women. So it actually decreased their risk of breast cancer, was what the final summary of the Women's Health Initiative found out in that one group, just on Premarin only. They found the progestin, or the synthetic progesterone, Provera, was the main cause of breast cancer. So what they did is, the doctors, or the study, literally threw the baby out with the bathwater, took women off all these hormones, well, took them off the bad hormones, but also the good hormones. And as a result, it's been calculated that as many as 91,000 women over the 10-year period from the Women's Health Initiative, from 2002 to 2011, died prematurely from not having adequate hormone levels, from osteoporosis, from other forms of diseases that could have been prevented with hormones.
So let's talk about doing nothing, because there's been so much controversy about,
yes,
we know 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in her lifetime. Okay, so
yes,
every woman, or many women, are very concerned about that and would say, I'm just going to go it alone. I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to increase my chances. Let's talk about the other side of doing nothing.
Okay, the other side of doing nothing is, once a woman hits 50 and on, usually the hormones start to bottom out across the board, all the key sex hormones. As a result, women start developing osteopenia, osteoporosis, muscle loss, leaky bladders, where they have to have all these bladder surgeries from not enough testosterone, as well as they start to develop all kinds of mental issues. Many develop irritability, depression, dementia, memory loss. That's what testosterone protects the brain from, as well as estradiol. The studies have shown that if we can put women on estradiol around the time of menopause, it will delay the onset of Alzheimer's or dementia by 10 years. But if you add testosterone, you delay the onset of dementia by 20 years.
Wow.
But I tell women, if you want to be so safe, we have other ways, safer forms of estrogen, such as estriol, that's been used in Germany for decades, over 30 years. And estriol, I talk about in my book, is 1/100th the strength of estradiol, yet it helps protect your brain, it helps your skin, it helps also protect those pelvic organs, the pelvic musculature, so you don't get that leaky bladder and that pelvic relaxation we see so much. And you can use that vaginally, just 1 or 2 times a week, or sometimes 3, but you don't get the side effects you can get from estradiol, and it's much safer. Plus, another stat so many women don't realize, women, when you reach menopause and your estrogen nosedives and your estradiol is low and your FSH is high, that's your pituitary screaming at your ovaries to produce estrogen. When that FSH is real high, the higher it goes, well, that means you're in the depths of menopause or postmenopause. And when that happens, that means that literally your brain is aging. Wow. The higher the LH and FSH, generally, the more the brain is aging. So you're developing that aging brain. And again, we have safe form. A lot of my women, I just put them on testosterone and estriol.
Okay, and hold that thought. Let me get a quick break here. But when we come back, I want to talk about testosterone and the other hormone that you were talking about that you're putting your patients on, and what we need to know about any side effects or adverse effects. Dr. Don Colbert is our guest this morning, and we're talking about our hormones, what we need to know. The book is called The Hormone Zone. Stay on point. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guest this morning is Dr. Don Colbert. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He has written more than 40 books and sold millions of copies. This morning, if you are struggling with health issues and you have absolutely no way of understanding what's going on, your doctor can't figure it out, this morning is a revelation for many people. We're talking about the hormone zone. And oftentimes, Dr. Colbert, that's what happens to people. We go to the doctor and the doctors just put a Band-Aid on what's really going on. But according to your book and so much information, a lot of it has to do with our hormones, men and women.
Absolutely. I see this every day. And so many patients come in and they're on this laundry list of medications. I say, why are you taking this? Oh, depression. Why are you taking this? All because to treat this symptom of that medicine. And so again, it's just all these medicines have side effects. But I found when I optimize these hormones and bring them to the level of a 25-year-old, many people start to feel like a 25-year-old again. And we start to reverse diseases such as depression, fatigue, obesity, because once you optimize those hormones, energy returns. And people start moving again and exercising again, and many can follow the proper diet to lose the weight.
So, Dr. Colbert, why aren't more doctors talking about hormones?
Simple. Number one, they're not educated. Most are educated by the pharmaceutical industry. And most of these bioidentical hormones, they're natural hormones that you get from compounding pharmacies, and they're cheaper. And so, again, you simply follow the money. Plus, realize most doctors don't have the time to spend to educate the person. That's why I wrote the book. This is an accumulation of 35 years of practice. I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen tremendous changes in my women and men. And when I optimize those hormones, and when I put them on a few key nutritional supplements and change their diet to either an anti-inflammatory diet or a plant-based keto diet, oh my goodness. These people are able to come off so many of their medicines. They get their energy back. They come in just bouncing. I'm talking about 60, 70, 80, even 90-year-old patients. I get 90-year-old patients many times the hormone levels of a 25-year-old.
Wow. Okay, so let's go back to estrol and testosterone, because a lot of people are now moving to testosterone, a lot of women and men. So let's talk about those two.
Well, testosterone is critically important to women and to men, but just as important to women, because that's the first hormone domino to fall around age 40 in women, and women get tired. And low estrogen occurs around age 50. Now, I tell women, too, this is really important. Women, if you're 50 and you're menopausal and you're having all those symptoms and your estrogen's low, women lose about 30% of their collagen in their skin in the first 5 years after menopause.
And that means, stop right there, Dr. Colbert. So that collagen means that we're losing that elasticity, that plump.
Yeah. You start to get wrinkles, saggy skin, crepey skin. And so women and men start to look crepey. And you don't want to look like that. So when you restore the collagen by again, estriol, or you can use estradiol, and testosterone helps. All these hormones help to restore collagen. But if women are afraid of breast cancer or have a family history or a history of breast cancer, I see women who've had breast cancer all the time. And I put them on testosterone pellets with a little Remedex. And then the Remedex is an estrogen blocker. You say, why do you want to block it? Because estrogen can fuel their breast cancer. So there's studies done. It's been done by like Dr. Glazer, who's a breast surgeon, and she's actually shown that testosterone pellets with a Remedex can decrease the recurrence of breast cancer by about 50%, which is amazing research. So testosterone protects a woman from breast cancer and helps protect men from prostate cancer. Men with low testosterone are more prone to prostate cancer. But so what we want to do is we want to balance these hormones, and women need both testosterone and estrogen in the form, again, they can have either estradiol or estriol. Estriol is the safest, but estrone is that old woman estrogen that you don't want, that also can fuel breast cancer. So estrone is that old lady estrogen that causes the back fat, the saggy breast, the minnow pot, the saggy bottom, and you don't want that kind of estrogen.
With all of that, you know, as you talked about in the last segment, women, when you go into menopause, so many women are gaining weight, and I've talked to countless women that are gaining weight in menopause and are doing all of the right things, trying to eat right, trying to exercise, but to no avail.
And that's because of that old lady estrogen, estrone, that starts kicking up at menopause. In other words, your estradiol, the nice youthful hourglass estrogen that causes that beautiful figure, that's out the window, it's gone. And its ugly sister, estrone, which is the old lady estrogen, takes over and causes those unsightly bulges that crop up all over a woman's body. And she looks at herself and says, what is this mess? This isn't me. Well, we turn that one down. We turn it down, again, by testosterone. We turn it down by helping to put an estrogen blocker or a binder called DIM, diindolylmethane, from broccoli, that helps to lower that estrone and shuttle it down a pathway so that it minimizes the risk of breast cancer. And I put most all my women on DIM, D-I-M. And so what we do is we turn that hormone down, boost up the testosterone, and again, if we check her mammogram and all, make sure her breasts are fine, and then we can put her on some estradiol and either a cream. And what I do with a lot of my women that are afraid of breast cancer, we cycle the Biest, which is the bioidentical estrogen. We have them use it vaginally 5 days a week, off on the weekends. So that way we minimize the risk of breast cancer. Plus we give them testosterone that protects their breast.
Okay, so how is the testosterone given? Is that a shot or is that going to be a pellet?
Now, it can be a cream, it can be a sublingual, it can be a shot, or it can be a pellet. A lot of women prefer the pellet because it gives them just tremendous energy. And they say, oh my goodness, I feel like I did when I'm 20 or 25 again. So they have that energy back, they have that stamina, they have that mental clarity, their grumpiness goes away, the depression many times goes away. So they feel really better with the pellet because it really boosts the level rapidly. But you can also get that from a shot. Many times I give women just a little teeny dose of testosterone, sub-Q or IM once a week, or a cream, and we can use it literally on the female sex organ 3 times a week to restore libido, or you can use it daily, but if we use it every other day, it seems to work better for women with libido issues.
So let me ask you this, Dr. Colbert, for women who are listening and watching, what is the first thing that they need to ask their doctor about? Should a panel of blood work, because you write about it in the book, and you say it's just, most doctors are doing just a basic panel, but the lay person has no idea what to ask for. So we're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. Let's take a break, and we'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. I feel like we're all in a classroom trying to understand what we need, not only as women, but as men. And what I tell all of our listeners and viewers, Dr. Colbert, is in today's culture, we have to be our own best advocates at the doctor. But the only way that we can do that is through the power of information. So for people who are listening, and one of the things that you talk about, and we said before the break, was the blood panel or the test that doctors usually run. And it's really very generic. Let's talk about what we should be asking for.
Well, any woman over 40 or 45 should be asking for this blood panel, and they need an FSH or follicle stimulating hormone and an estradiol. And you say, well, what's the difference? Well, an estradiol tells me what your youthful estrogen level is, and at around 45 to 50, it starts to nosedive. But FSH tells me what your long-term estrogen is. It's kind of like comparing a blood sugar to a hemoglobin A1C. And when that FSH goes real high, that's when you're really in the depths of menopause, or you're in the postmenopausal, when there's no more eggs in there, and there's no more estrogen there. And so again, when that FSH goes real high, you're in trouble because it's associated again with memory loss too. So our goal is to bring that FSH down, ideally to 23 or below, because that's in the premenopause period. When a woman has a FSH 23 or greater on 2 occasions, that's menopause.
Okay.
So if you want to get rid of your symptoms, you can get that FSH down below 23 or below. Most all the symptoms are gone.
And so how do we get that down below that 23 number by using the estrol and the testosterone? Is that how we're going to get that down?
Well, you can get it down. Bias works better. Pellets work better, but you can get it down too with estrol. I've done it all the time, and that's your safer estrogen. Yes.
Okay. Now, what do we need to know about the pellets in terms of what could go wrong with them?
Well, again, anytime it's a minor surgical procedure, and you simply put a little trocar, and the pellets are the size of a seed or a grain of rice. And so you just put it up under the skin. It takes literally just a few minutes. I numb it so they're nice and numb. They don't feel anything. And then generally there's no problem, provided you use, good sterile technique. There's no problem. Give them instructions. So we don't have problems. But if a doctor rarely does it, they can run into issues. You just want to go to a doctor who's done lots of them. But then there's other methods of administering these hormones. Like I say, there's creams, there's sublinguals, there's shots. A lot of people take shots. There's this new Atretus base to put testosterone in. So we can put testosterone behind the knee, and we can get blood levels like a shot or a pellet with the cream. So there's many ways to do it.
Okay, so the blood panel that we should be asking our doctors about, both men and women, is what?
Okay, FSH, and estradiol, progesterone, total testosterone, and for men, I throw in free testosterone, and then TSH, which is the thyroid stimulating hormone, and then real important, the free T3. This is so important for men and women because as we age, our thyroid gets suboptimal, we'll get tired, cold hands, cold feet, our bottoms get cold, so we turn on the seat heater all the time, and then we start to get dry skin. We start to dry out. Our eyes get dry, our skin gets dry, we get ridges on our fingernails. And so the free T3 shows us your active thyroid, and hardly anyone ever checks that, as well as the TPO, because TPO is thyroid peroxidase antibody that checks for autoimmune thyroid, the most common cause of low thyroid. But most patients don't have low thyroid. They have suboptimal, and doctors don't treat it. And if they treat it with the wrong thyroid, the synthroid or levothyroxine, that does nothing to heat your body up, nothing to improve your fatigue. So again, thyroid is one of the best antidepressants I've ever found, but it's got to be the active thyroid or the desiccated natural thyroid. So again, other tests I do is, of course, I check a comprehensive metabolic panel, I check a complete blood count, I check a lipid panel, I check a urinalysis, I check many times a C-reactive protein, I check a vitamin D3 level, I check a B12 level, and those key hormones, the testosterone, the estrogen, estradiol, the FSH, and the progesterone. It's real simple. And again, very rarely does a doctor ever check testosterone on women. And that's the most important hormone I find for most women. It does more to protect a woman than anything, and it keeps women out of nursing homes. You want the best nursing home insurance? Well, let me tell you, the testosterone protects your brain, it protects your muscles from getting frail, and it protects you from getting osteoporosis. I actually reverse osteoporosis with testosterone, and it protects you against breast cancer. So what better hormone would there be than testosterone for women?
Absolutely. One of the other things that you talk about is a healthy adrenal mindset. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Again, most Americans are stressed out or they're burnout. And what's happening, the hormones or the glands that's affected primarily from are those poor little adrenal glands. Those adrenal glands are approximately the size of your thumb, and they sit right above your kidneys. And so many times I can screen real quick when I walk in a room and check a person. If they have pain over their 11th rib in their back, and so many people come in saying, Dr. Colbert, I've been hurting here for years. I've seen my orthopedic surgeon, I've seen my chiropractor, no one can fix it. So is it right here? and it's right on the 11th rib, and it hurts like a raisin. And I press, and I say, oh, that's your adrenals. And I show them by these little tests I can do right there in the office, an adrenal stretch test or a blood pressure test or a pupillary constriction test. So your adrenals are weak. And so again, I have different tests we can do, salivary hormone tests, but we fix that with some adrenal rebuilders that are natural supplements that work. Or for those that are burnt out, I check and I find that their cortisol levels 3 times or 4 times in one day, 4 hours apart, is flatlined. Then I know they're burnt out because you're supposed to have a spike of cortisol in the morning. It's supposed to go down at night, be the lowest at night. If they're flatlined and they're burnt out, no energy, I put them on bioidentical cortisol or hydrocortisone, physiologic doses, and reboot their adrenal glands. And that is a lifesaver for quite a few of my burnout patients.
Sure.
But that's not for.
Okay. Now let's talk about this before we've got to let you go. Let's talk about sleep. There's been a lot written on sleep.
Yes.
And for women who, especially women who are hormonal, that are not getting adequate sleep. Let's talk about that.
Well, the big hormones that affect sleep are, number one, micronized bioidentical progesterone. That is the key hormone that helps women sleep. And it usually takes about 200 milligrams at night to help them sleep. Now, again, a lot of my women, we now are producing it in a sublingual tab, and we give them 1 to 2 75 milligram sublingual tabs at night. And most of the women go into this nice deep sleep. They feel great. And then progesterone with the thyroid, the natural desiccated thyroid, many times help many of my women grow the thickest, most beautiful hair, provided they don't have low ferritin level, which is the iron storage protein. The other hormone that helps sleep, believe it or not, is testosterone and estrogen. Estrogen helps or estradiol or estriol, because what it does, it stops the hot flashes. Once those hot flashes turn off and you give them that progesterone, most women go into that beautiful, deep, refreshing sleep.
Okay, so one other thing too, the testosterone. Now, the levels that you write about in the book are really wide-ranging. Anywhere from 264 to like 916. Where do we need to be?
Right.
For men.
Now for men, if your level's 264, you're going to feel rotten. Most men will have no energy, no libido, no muscle mass, no competitiveness or anything. He'll be existing. And if he's 35 or 40, you can forget it. So I like to get them up around 750 to 900, even 1,000. And it really gives the men what they need. I optimize that level because we try and reverse those symptoms of low testosterone in men, which the first symptom men usually get is they lose the morning erection. And then they get exhausted. They're a couch potato. And they're irritable and grumpy. They're so grumpy. Many people call it the grumpy old man syndrome. Yet some of these guys are 35 and 40, and only 40 years old, and they're grumpy. And then they lose muscle mass. They get that belly fat. And then they get insulin resistant. And then they get prediabetes. And they get big, huge waist. Then they get sleep apnea. And they get all these diseases. They go to their doctor, and they just medicate, when they needed testosterone years or decades before. Now, women, we don't need near as much. Women produce about 1/10 the testosterone of a man. So my women do best around 50 to 100. Some women, if they have osteoporosis, I may push it to 150. So again, that testosterone makes a huge difference in women. You say, well, will they get hair on their chest, or will they have to shave? Will they get a beard? Or what will happen? No, will they have hair loss? We avoid those symptoms, and we can block the dihydrotestosterone that causes the androgenic side effects by giving them a little blocker twice a week for our women, so we don't run into those symptoms.
Very good. Dr. Colbert, this has been an incredibly informative conversation. Thank you for your commitment to taking care of Americans and people around the world for so long. The book, once again, The Hormone Zone, Lose Weight, Restore Energy, Feel 25 Again. Tell people how they can connect with you and all of the incredible resources that you have available.
Well, they can just go to drcolbert.com and they can get my Facebook or whatever there, the information they need. But again, we're here to help change the health of America and get you to feel 25 again, in spite of you being 50, 60, 70, 80, or even 90. And it works. Just start.
I'm ready. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Colbert. Hey, everybody, stay on point. We're back after this.